Hey, everybody, welcome to another Triple T for Knife Makers podcast. I am excited to have two co hosts this week, my buddy Spencer from Heavy Forge up in Alaska, and my buddy Rick Hall from Reno. Hey, guys, how's it going?
What's up, buddy?
Going good.
Thanks for joining me. And let's not give Jerid a big head that we need two co hosts to fill his slot. All right. He's
We just got to
already.
find two people that talk as much. That's all.
Well, with my friends, that's not hard. Good. So what's going on, Spencer? What's going on in your end of the world?
Trying to stay dry.
Dry.
And not slip. Yeah, it's like a heat wave up here right now, and it's raining.
Raining.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm not upset by any means. It's better than negative temperatures, like 34 degrees, 37 degrees, t-shirt, shorts. Great.
Yeah,
not quite as hot as LA right now.
That's true.
Oh, man.
For everyone else, Spencer lives in Anchorage, Alaska, so he has a warped sense of what's warm and what's cold. So, little story. So I got, my wife made me make sure that I told this story. So was it two and a half years ago that I actually met Spencer, was going up to Alaska for a trip. Just Kim and I were going to Alaska to Anchorage for 4 or 5 days just for a vacation. And of course, I knew Spencer lived up there. And so I said, hey, what, you want to get together for breakfast? And on the way there, Kim is like, this guy better not be a dork.
I know all your other friends. He better not be like them.
The funny thing is, Lindy is saying to Spencer exactly the same thing, that these guys better not be dorks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was the greatest day of your life.
Yeah, it wasn't. Spencer's beautiful family were super nice. And I didn't even totally spaced on the weekend. It was actually Mother's Day when we met, and I dragged them out to breakfast on Mother's Day. So
yeah, that was great. Cool. Actually, it worked out great.
Yeah.
I wish I had more time to hang out and show you around Anchorage area.
Well, we barely met because you almost had to work through the weekend. I think you would have been in more trouble with the wife than with me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's easy to do.
Yeah.
Spencer, so what's going on? You getting any shop time? You starting to recover?
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people know I've had an ankle injury over the summer, but that's getting better, man. It's slow healing, but it's changing and getting better. And it doesn't keep me from making, but it slowed me down a little. But no, I mean, I'm in the forge and finishing projects. So, my ankle.
I saw you post something today, another Woots build, another Woots knife build.
Yeah. Yep. Just finished that. Well, just have to sharpen it and then it's heading out. So
and what was it again? I know it was Woots something, but I didn't catch the whole thing.
Yeah, just a little Woots blade. They're like these little primitive knives I've been making, and a lot of people have been interested in them. And they just they're like my kind of take on like a Otzi the Iceman knife.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but I've always been really interested in that, in the story of him, and the tools that he carried, and that little stone dagger he had, so that's always just been really interesting to me. And I've always kind of in the back of my head, it's like, man, I want to make some knives that kind of represent that or look like that, but obviously with modern materials, and just those have just kind of been popular. People have asked me for them, and I don't sell them for very much. So yeah.
I think Rick's related to that
guy.
How much? $250.
$250. That's a good price.
Yeah,
I don't
they're
think
not hard to make. It's obviously Woots is kind of a rarity. There's not a lot of people that are making it, and you can't just it's rare. And but they're not. They're very simple, and they're not hard to make at all. So I don't really feel like I could charge very much for them, because they're not a beautiful guard or some kind of mosaic Damascus, or I don't just make them. This is the first one I've ever made from Woots. It's going to actually somebody that I know. So who's actually a really good customer of mine.
I don't think I've actually heard anybody saying, "Oh, they're not that hard. I just make a billet of Woots."
Well, the Woots is a whole different thing.
The process of that is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It's a process. And that's another reason why I don't sell it. I get people that bombard me that want ingots or bars. And it's just like, dude, it's so easy for somebody to just mess up. And I don't want to be, I don't want somebody, here's an ingot and they screw it all up. And then it's like, oh, you sold me some, some bullshit. Or, I sell them a bar and they don't forge it at the right temperature, or they just screw it all up. I don't want to deal with the, because I would say probably maybe the average smith doesn't understand this material at all. Like,
well, you probably have to give them like a list of things not to do, how to forge it. Give them a little bit of a cheat sheet,
Absolutely. Yeah. But there's some things I just don't want to give away.
There's enough guys
that's a thing too.
There's enough guys that screw up 1080, 1084 and blame it on I got a bad lot of steel. I'm like, no, you didn't.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a few people I would absolutely sell to, you know what I mean, that I trust, that I know wouldn't do that. If they screwed it up, they'd be like, oh yeah, I messed this up, So
right.
I mean, the proof's in the pudding. I've made enough of this stuff that you can just see, like, if you're not getting a good pattern, or you're cracking it and it's crumbling, that's on you. So
well, that's a really valuable thing too. An ingot of that stuff costs a lot of money to make. People don't realize how hard it is to actually make one.
Yeah,
it's
I will say that the melt is actually the easiest part of the whole process. And it's like, it seems like a lot of the new guys who come into the Woots world, that's what they struggle with the most, is the melt, which is kind of interesting, because I had success early on, even with the melt, you know what I mean? It was everything down the line that I struggled with at first. But
sure.
I just dove into I wanted to understand what was going on here, because these guys aren't, there's a lot of great woodsmiths out there, and they're not just giving away this information, so I really wanted to figure out what was going on metallurgically with this stuff, because that's the only way I was going to get better with it, is to understand what is actually happening. It's like when somebody gives you a piece of steel 1080 and they're like, this is how you heat treat it, heat it up to this temperature and then quench it in this oil. Like, you don't need to know what's happening metallurgically. You don't need to know what, austenizing is. You don't need to know none of that. Just heat it up. Okay, there.
Yeah.
Is it hard? Oh yeah, it's hard. Skates a file like that. You don't need to know.
There's a lot of processes in knife making where you got to go to school. I mean, you got to go to school and do your research and your studying, because there's so many little aspects of just doing one thing, like making mosaic Damascus, or heat treating a W2 knife with a good hamon on it at the right temperature. That's a thing.
Yep, absolutely. I think when you're going to take knife making seriously, there's things that you should know on a scientific level, for sure.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
What about you? You ready to get into the woots making, Dennis?
No.
You do everything else. Why not that?
It's not. I won't. I'll never say never. Right now, it's something that doesn't interest me personally. Like, I think it's cool. I would love to play with it. I don't want to make it.
Yeah, that's how I feel about like mosaic Damascus. Like, I just have no. I totally respect it. My good friend Gabe makes it. I love what he's doing, and I love looking at what everybody else is doing. It's just not my thing. I prefer to use things that keep me in my forge longer than in the fit and finish process, or cutting and grinding and stacking. That's just me.
Yeah. Mosaic's fun. I love doing it. There's a lot of learning curve there too. Don't over forge it. Bring your corners up, stuff like that. That'll totally screw up your billet. What temperature to forge it at to get a certain effect. A lot of times we'll forge a lot cooler to create like an S pattern inside of a billet that you're going to use as a component billet for like basket weave. I learned that actually from Mareko. He showed me how to do some cold forging to make that middle move more.
Yeah.
Hmm. I'm going to pick your brain on that because I'm about to do that part of that pattern, that
The
S.
S's.
It seems to be pretty trendy right now because I know Gabe has done it a few times. I've seen Morocco do. I think just lately, a lot of people are doing that. I'm going to create a lot of layered layered W's, and then I'm going to put an S pattern in it, and I'm going to flip it and get that
Sure.
snake pattern. That
Yeah.
seems to be pretty trendy right now.
Oh yeah,
So
I love looking at that stuff. It's awesome, and
yeah.
that's what's so cool about making Damascus and mosaic Damascus and stuff is there's so many different variables. There's so
Oh
many
yeah.
different artistic routes that you can take to make these patterns, man. And then like with Woots, it's just there's kind of one street you take. You're kind of stuck there, and that's really it. But yeah, the mosaic thing is just totally. I mean, some of that's is just mind blowing, man.
Woots
Yeah.
is cool too because you can get surprises, cool surprises when you forge
Absolutely,
that out.
yes,
That's
yes.
the cool part about that. You're not really uh, manipulating any pattern. It just is what it is, and you're processing.
It's like it's alive, man.
Yeah,
Seriously,
yeah,
it's like an.
exactly.
And it forge welds two other steels fine,
Oh
right?
yeah, oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yep,
See
yep.
to me that would be interesting to get it as a bar in a mosaic. So a certain aspect of a mosaic being woots to get that watery look without, and then layering some more stuff around it. That would be
Yeah,
cool to me.
the thing about Woots is there's certain temperatures you need to be forging at so to get certain patterns, and so you're kind of limited in that realm. So
Hmm.
it's like I just did a kumai with some Woots cladding, and with 52-100 and the forging temperatures of 52-100, they're pretty high. So
yeah.
that's going to change your pattern on your cladding by going to that certain temperature. So you're kind of stuck. That's why the pattern of that wasn't like that great. Still a good pattern, but it's not like that really watery pattern that everybody kind of loves or tries to achieve. And I don't really necessarily want to chase that. I'm just happy that I can make some good patterns. I'm happy with that. If I can make some good steel with a pattern on it, I'm happy, man. Like I don't
So
need to make the watered stuff, even though that is beautiful and I love it. That's not what I want to chase, though, really.
So are you getting more of a, I'll call it the watery pattern, but are you getting more of a pattern with a lower forging temp or a higher for it sounded like you wanted a lower forging temp.
Lower or higher, it depends. Depends on what.
Well, that's the thing
That's
about
a
52-100
non-answer.
too. 52-100 is such a hard forging steel. If you're
It is.
planning on it getting smaller, guess what? Everything else around it's going to get smaller.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you got to start with small and then barely forge it, and then you end up with what you want as far as thickness goes.
Yeah, I forge 52-100 is all I use for my mono steel knives.
It's a great steel. A great
I have,
steel.
yeah, I love it. I have uh, like grease drums, like quarter grease drums, full of it, full of bearings I've gotten that is known 52-100 that I've gotten from industry. We're able to see the spec sheets on this stuff, and yeah, so I've got so much of it.
I actually don't use that very often. Only like once in a while, probably 2 or 3 times that I've done like something to do with ball bearings, but it's not a steel I use very often.
I love it, and I screw it up a lot too. So I make mistakes too because I forget, I forget. It's unforgiving, and I'll get too low in temperature, and I'm like, oh damn, oh, I know this is cracked. I know this is riddled with cracks, and then yeah, I'll clean it all up and then etch it, and it's just riddled with cracks, man.
If you ever want
Damn.
to win a knife forging contest, give somebody a piece of 52-100 and you take the other stuff, the 1080, and see what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah,
Don't tell them.
exactly. Like it just happens, man. Like I forget that I'm forging this stuff. I'm so used to just like 1080 and I use a lot of 1080. Well, I use a lot of 1080, and it's just you just you got to really pay attention to what you're doing. You can just get drift off into space, when you're like, oh man, too
Yeah.
cold, way too cold.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I
I've done that on a kumai before, drifting off into space and then realizing you're at about 1950 and
yeah
We did
things are
that at your
melting.
house last time I was there. or your forge started messing up. It didn't shut off.
Oh, we blew the thermocouple, and
Yeah, that's what
we had
happened.
kumai in the forge. That's
That
not good.
I remember when you had I think you melted some copper in there, and then you brought it to everybody's attention about how it can mess up your forge. I always thought that was like BS, man, like a wives' tale, you know.
I and I admit I have told people that it's a
Me
wise tale,
too.
and I keep a piece that the first time that happened, like it was totally my fault. I wasn't paying attention, was on my phone, and then realized, oh crap, I just blew away the kumai. And the next time I was forging, I was doing just straight Damascus, and I was trying to forge welds like a restack. And I have a piece of that restack, and you can see this is a totally different forging session. It is riddled with copper that has been vaporized, and it's between the layers.
Turned
That's
into fumes
crazy.
and got into your billet. Yeah.
It's
Yep,
exactly what happened.
exactly. Yep.
So, and I keep that around for anyone that thinks that that's not a thing. I can
Yeah,
show
copper
good
them.
that-
pollutes everything. It pollutes your etchant. It pollutes your forge.
Yeah, I did have to just tear the floor out of it.
Okay.
It's I don't think it sticks to the walls as much. It's where it puddles on the floor, and the next time your forge heats up, vaporizes again. So I had to just redo the floor, and it was fine. But yeah, it's a bad thing. It's expensive to make that mistake. I can tell
Yeah.
you.
There's a lot of mistakes in knife making that are expensive. I just
Yeah.
saw on Instagram a fella, Gaskill Knives, just cut the end of his finger off, changing his dies on his press.
Oh,
And
see,
I was just talking about safety on it because I remember, with the guy that does Mountain My,
I know
Paxton.
Paxton. Yeah,
cut his
Paxton, a
finger
50-50 Forge had the same thing.
And I'm thinking, how are you guys not seeing this slow ass die coming up, going to smash your finger? But it is lack of attention because he was talking to somebody and he was putting a kiss block in there and he didn't think he was all the way up and then cut that baby off.
I don't change dies. I don't put kiss blocks in
Nothing.
with the press on.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's always off. I don't care. Because I know those guys. Well, I know Paxton personally, but
Me too. Yeah.
there's no way I'm touching anything in that press without it off. Same with a power hammer, anything like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Did I tell you I tripped and went flying across my shop and landed with my hand on my power hammer die and my knee on the pedal?
Oh,
That's like
But I was
incredibly
quick
bad
enough.
luck.
I was quick enough to move it because I realized what was going on, and I'm like, oh boy, that could have been really bad.
And
I just stop it.
But he's Rick has the
Air
I
press.
just stop the ram, grab it.
yeah you would too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Rick's got a big
Thor
blue.
making Thor.
Yeah, Rick's got a big blue, and you can't even tell if it's on. Like, because the compressor's not even in the room, so you don't know that it's actually turned on.
It's very quiet. Yeah.
So it's weird. But
unless you're grinding something out in the grinding room where the compressor is at and you're trying to be really careful and your buddy's blowing something off in the shop and that compressor kicks on and makes you poop your pants, that's always fun.
I used to do that when I was engraving. I used to use one of those pancake compressors when it came, and it was right beside me, and I'm engraving something really fine, delicate work, and then the compressor comes on and my engraving has a big jump.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that happens to me. I use a little pancake with that little dental burr thing, Same thing. I'm using my microscope, like, doing a garden, and my God damn it.
Yeah, I don't use the pancake one anymore. My new one is 5 times the size and quieter. So
it's just the stupid stuff that we do as knife makers. Like when Denis had that little burr, that 380,000 RPM burr. Well, I decided I needed one of those, so I went and got one and got my little compressor going, and I turned it on, and it was making noise, but I mean, the burr is so small I couldn't even see it spinning. So I decided to reach up there and grab that son of a gun, and boy, it burnt a hole right through my finger. I'm like, well, that was about stupid. You know,
I laugh because I did the same thing. It doesn't look like it's moving,
Yep. Yeah,
but
exactly. It
it
doesn't,
is.
but it is.
Oh, so Rick, what's going on in your shop? What are you working on?
well, right now I'm working on spending all the money I got. I bought a mill. I bought a brand new heat treat oven, a new even heat. Um,
Okay, first of all, you have both of those tools in your shop
I
already.
do, I do, but this is a brand new 22-inch even heat oven that I got for $1,100.
I thought it was a 27.
22.
Oh, 22. You told me 27 the other day.
I thought it was a 27 because it was bigger than the one that I have, but I figured out that the one that I have is 18 and not 22.
Oh,
So I thought it was the next size up from the one that I had, but I miscalculated. The one that I had was smaller.
I always think mine is bigger than it is.
Yeah, that's what she said.
I knew that was coming.
And then I decided to buy a Webb mill, which is a Bridgeport clone, really good Bridgeport clone,
Like
and
knee mill? Like
an
big.
email, yeah, a big one.
Nice.
I'm getting into the folders and doing that. I need a little more precision than my Grizzly's given me. But I mean, the Grizzly is fine. It's fine to do what I want it to do. But I do build big stuff too, so I want something that I can really hog.
Yeah. Well,
So
that'll
I've
be
got
good.
that. You
How
know,
much does that thing weigh?
um, close to 3,000 pounds. It's
Jesus.
big. Yeah,
Yeah.
my
Good
wife's
luck
gonna have
moving
a
that.
hell of a time unloading it out of the trailer. I'm telling you right now.
How you going to unload that thing? You going to, what did
I'm gonna
it,
rent a forklift.
for a forklift or at least one of those pallet jacks?
Well, the problem is getting it out of the trailer. There's no like real good way to build a ramp out of that trailer. So I'm just going to pick it up, drive out from under it,
Uh,
get it down on the machine
you,
skates, and
you'd never be able to put that thing on a ramp. It didn't matter how long the
no
ramp
way,
was.
no way.
3,000 pounds? No
I can just see
way.
my truck sticking up in the air.
No, that's not good. Yeah, you'll have to get it picked somehow.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm going to rent a forklift so that it'll be over.
Nice. All right. Give me a
It's
call when
like
it's in.
$250 for a forklift for a day.
Huh.
You
I
need
know.
You
a
know,
service truck with a crane.
right?
Yeah, yeah, you have one of those, don't you?
I mean, I don't own it. No, it's not mine. It's my company's. But man, that comes in handy.
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to lift it into my garage though because it's
Yeah,
too
that's
short.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I might need something like that when my new anvil arrives. Spencer, I think we got the same anvil.
Oh, right on.
I got
yeah,
the 260 double horn from Holland.
Oh yeah, right on.
That's the one you have,
Excellent.
right?
Yeah, excellent anvil.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Very
right
happy with
on.
them.
I
What about you,
almost
Dennis? You've been making knives here, making a keyhole style guard.
That was cool.
it's not actually a keyhole because it's not pressed in because I needed to remove the handle portion to blue it, and so it's actually a hidden tang that goes into a guard that just puzzle pieces into the handle. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it looks like a keyhole, acts like a keyhole, but it's kind of not because I didn't actually press it in. I actually did all the manual work of sanding and grinding and all that shit.
I thought you did a really good job on that piece. I really
Thank
do.
you, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's done. Now I'm probably 60% done the folder we talked about the other day, Rick.
Oh, already?
Yeah,
Yeah. That's one thing I admire about Dennis. He goes to do something, he gets it done. I talk
yeah.
about something, he's like, "So how'd that go?" And I go, "I haven't started it yet. What are you talking about? How about that piece of kumai that I gave you?" Well, yeah, it's still sitting there with a pattern on it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's over there. Got dust on it.
yeah.
Yeah,
I forge a whole bunch of stuff and then I put it in a basket and I look at them.
yeah. He's good at Jeriding things.
Yes, very much so.
Too much time
Um,
getting haircuts.
yeah, right. Nobody gets haircuts more than Jerid. But yeah, the puzzle piece knife is good. The video's doing okay, and it is a good warm up. I'm doing that. The one I was talking about, the kind of S mosaic, that
Yeah,
actually is going to be a keyhole, a real keyhole that I'm going to press.
right
So,
on.
but
Yeah. Those mosaics look really good on keyholes.
yeah, and I want
Yeah.
something that is not that I'm not going to tile. It's
Mm-hmm.
stacked, right? It's not because
Sure.
if it's tiled, then it's usually really thin. And of course, I need it to be, you know, inch thick at least when I cut the keyhole out of it so I can
I
press it.
love the stacking method. It's the best way. Just make enough to do one knife. And then you can actually put a piece of 1080 on the end that you're going to put the tang on. You can't do that on this one. But if you're going to make a tang, you can just forge weld a piece of 1080 onto it. Now
Yeah.
you're not wasting that precious Damascus.
Yeah. So that mosaic will become the keyhole. But in the meantime, I'm working on this. And in fact, it's going to be the Thursday Triple T series for a couple of weeks. I'm doing a compression lock, liner lock. And if you're not familiar with that, Spyderco's, and they came up with a patent for it. The patent expired in 2021. It's like a liner lock, except the lock release is on the spine, not on the belly of the knife.
Cool.
So when you release like on a liner lock, when you release the lock, the blade is actually closing on where your thumb was. So you kind of have to be careful not to cut yourself on certain knives. But on this one, you can close it one-handed. You just have to flick the lock and it'll actually just flip closed right away. It's kind of a cool design. And I'm glad their patent expired. So so far it's going really well. I really like it. And Rick, I showed you the other day.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's a neat design. I'm wanting to do a button lock now.
Yeah, I have a design for a button auto, not a lock.
Well, I just want to do the lock first. I'm not going to get into the auto stuff yet. I think that I want to do one. I want to do a bolster lock or bolster release auto.
Yeah, those are cool.
Those are really cool. You hand the knife to somebody and they have no idea how to open it.
Yeah, I like a knife where you hand someone and they have to ask you how to open it.
Yeah,
I think that's cool.
Yeah, I do too.
For some reason, I don't know why, but I think that's a fun little.
It's just exerting your dominance, like you always do. You know,
that's right. Yeah,
I really envy your guys' folders, man. They are, yeah. I would really like to start getting into making some folders.
Well,
I know I talked to you a little bit about that.
You got a mill? You can.
Yeah, I've it's been on my mind, but it's kind of like what Rick was saying earlier. It's just like it's one of those things where it's like, mate, I'll get to it one day,
right?
I've been making a lot of smaller knives lately, and it's like, man, I feel like that's kind of like the new thing, or becoming very popular by makers,
Well, who wants to carry a 14-inch buoy?
Exactly.
Those things are, those got to be show knives. I just don't see the use for them unless you're hunting bear or something.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you don't want that with a bear. You want big gun. Big gun.
Yeah.
That's the thing about Alaska, though. It's like guys up here who are into like outdoor stuff. They kind of know their knives, so they don't want no big Bowie knife. They want a little small knife. They got big gun when they go to the woods. They want something that they can, process game with easily, or just simple little tasks.
Absolutely. So, I was amazed when I went to Africa on a hunting trip. The guides, when they went to skin out these gigantic animals, had a little 2-inch blade. And boy, they went to work on it. I couldn't believe how fast they got it. They do it every day, but I mean, they gutted, skinned, and caped that thing out. Probably 30 minutes. Big giant kudu. I'm like, holy cow! A little 2-inch blade, a folding knife.
That's crazy to go hunting in
Africa,
man. That's
awesome. Something sharp. That's all you need.
You should see Rick's living room. It is like the Mutual of Omaha had a. That's where they go to film
like that. I've been to houses like that. I had a friend growing up whose dad was part of the safari club up here, and you go into their house. I mean, they were kind of wealthy, and it was like zebras and freaking tiger heads, like gazelles and stuff. It's just like, good. Back in the day,
asked me, where'd you get all these
substances, and you're in there like, what the? Get out of here, man. That place used to trip me out.
That's right. The girls come in the house and they go, where did all these come from? I go, I don't know. They just were running really fast, I guess, and got stuck there.
Yeah.
Oh, well, with all this talk of folding knives, I'm going to pause here and talk about one of our sponsors, Maritime Knife Supply. And I know you're saying, hey, wait, they don't stock folding knives. Lawrence is about to. I don't know if he's released it yet, but he's going to have a whole section on folding parts and parts for folding
Love
knives.
that guy.
Yeah,
Excellent.
so definitely go check out Maritime Knife Supply. Quick shipping, awesome guy to deal with. If he doesn't have it, Lawrence will get it. So he and I have been talking about folding parts and getting stuff for folding knives. So it's going to go along well with this new series that I'm doing, and hopefully he has that up and running in the next week because I'm going to start my next folder series this coming Thursday. Will be the I'll start the new folder series.
That's on
Nice.
YouTube.
Yeah, that's a
So
YouTube.
what is it like a beginner series? Like
Yeah,
how is-
it'll kind of be a continuation of my first folder series where I did building a liner lock. Similar pace, probably at least three episodes, maybe four. Since I did the last one, I think it'll probably be three because I'm just going to refer to the last series on some of the steps.
It was a good series. I actually had to go back to your series for a couple things that I'm like, what did I do for tap size on that? Because there's so many little intricacies of doing folders that you forget. It's like, okay, I need a 256 screw. If I use a thread forming tap, it's a number 47. If I use a regular tap, it's smaller.
Right.
You know,
And,
those type of things, a cheat sheet would be really good.
And that's exactly what I told Lawrence is put up a cheat sheet. I'll even make it for him. Put up a cheat sheet that says you need these drills and you need these sizes and they're for this. And you need these sizes and they're for this.
It
and you
makes
need
it so much easier.
Yeah. Because that's, I think, Rick, you could probably attest when you take the course, most of what you're learning is the crap that you need to make the knife. Because making the folder, honestly, is not that hard. There's not, you're drilling holes. You're drilling a lot of holes.
It's knowing what you need to make the knife is where it really is where you really need to. I agree. Making folders, I think, is pretty easy. I mean, I'm not gone down the road all the way yet. I haven't tried different styles, but a liner lock I thought was pretty easy knife to make.
Yeah, I mean, you learn a lot about how to be precise and precision.
Let's be honest, I've only made 3. I mean,
yeah, it seems complicated to me. I've never dove into it, so just looking at it from outside, I'm like, that seems kind of complicated. But
well, Denis and I were talking about that. Because when he said, "Oh, it's easy," when I went down to take Mike Venino's class, which Mike is a great guy, great teacher. When I went down to take his class, I was kind of intimidated. I'm like, oh man, there's going to be so much stuff to this. And it's like, yeah, just do this and do that. And pretty soon we had a knife for 2 days. I'm like, what? This is crazy.
Yeah. And the things that I was intimidated on, and Rick, I think you were intimidated, tapping a 256, a number 2 hole. Because you think, my God, that tap has got to be so tiny. You're going to snap that tap. That's one of the easiest parts once you learn how to do
totally easy.
I tapped 12 holes today.
What do you tap? What are you tapping? Is it steel or titanium?
Titanium, yeah. You use a handheld drill on low speed, and you just line up the scale with your other hand, run it through, and it kind of self-centers and holding it. If it gets a little sideways, you can feel it before it breaks the tap. So it actually is to your advantage to hold it.
Yeah, doing it by hand is the way to go, and you can line it up, and it's a lot easier than what people think. As soon as someone shows you, you're like, "Oh, I was making such a big deal over, going to spend $1,000 on one of those little tap masters. You don't need that."
Yeah, and I even have one, and I didn't even after I went to Mike's, I'm like, I don't need that. Yeah. I guess there is a few things like if you're going to do a frame lock, you've got a lot more meat there. It might behoove you to use a tapping jig for that, but because I haven't tried.
That's true.
I haven't tried to do a thick one yet.
Yeah, because I've actually thought I was going to be a smart ass one time and put both liners together and tried to tap right through both liners. I snapped the tap there.
Yeah.
It could have just been the way I was tapping, but I don't do that anymore. And there's no need because you're never putting the same screw through both liners.
Right.
But
one's a pass through, the other's tapped.
Yes, or you're putting 2 screws on either, like one on either side, and they never meet. So, yeah.
Right. Well, you were probably tapping double tapping the scale holes or the bolster holes.
You're
Because
cutting up
those are
pretty
both
bad,
tapped.
Rick.
Oh.
We're losing a lot of what you're saying, but
Well, it wasn't that important anyways.
oh, so I asked Jerid this, and he didn't have much of an answer for me. So I'm going to ask you guys each: what are your goals for 2025?
To walk.
Yeah, well, that's a good one. If for you, Spencer, that's a good one.
I'm hobbling around on a cane, so that's my main goal.
Walking's
is
a
to
good
walk.
thing.
So,
What'd you do?
I got ran over by a D10 bulldozer, blew up the machine, broke the tracks, almost killed the operator, blew the cab off the machine.
You got ran over by a D10 bulldozer.
He did
Aren't
not.
those
Yeah,
things kind of
sounds
fucking
cool.
slow? Aren't they slow?
I know what happened, and that's
It just sounds cool.
Okay.
No, I was I was getting out of my service truck, man, and
Yeah, you were line dancing. Don't lie.
yeah, just a freak accident, man. Like I just backed up next to this loader, and where I had parked my service truck, the ground wasn't level. You know, it just happened to just dip down right where my steps were, and as I was getting out, all my weight right into this hole in my left ankle, and I rolled it, and I knew right away, man. As soon as that happened, man, I could feel everything, man. I was like, oh my God, like I messed myself up good. And
yeah,
basically,
a bad sprain will feel like a break.
it was like a 10 out of a 10 is what my doctor told me.
Yeah.
This is like a 10 out of a 10 sprain. It just disintegrated, like a couple ligaments, ruptured some tendons, and then one of my ligaments got jammed up in my ankle joint, so I couldn't move my ankle. And she's telling me like, oh yeah, you should be able to move your ankle even with this kind of injury, And I'm like, hell no. I'm like, she's like trying to force my ankle up. I'm like, I'm about to kick you. Like, that shit is brutally painful, man. Like, no, something ain't right, And then she was like, yeah, we're probably gonna have to operate. And I speculate that you got a ligament probably folded over in your ankle joint, and had to go in there with cameras. And yep,
How old are you,
that was
Spencer?
it. I'm 41.
You're 41? Oh yeah. Well, wait until you hit 50. Your recovery rate goes way down after 50.
Yeah, I know. I can tell a lot of things, metabolism and things slowed down, from 20s and 30s. But the main problem I had wasn't so much the injury; it's the fact that I didn't move my ankle for 3 months. I was stuck in one position, so everything just atrophied. The ankle joint. You have so many little tiny bones in there, and all of that just didn't move. So it all just kind of locked up. And then you don't build up it, all those muscles in there just weaken, and then you have to reuse all the tendons and ligaments and get them stretched out. And then like the fluid that's in there has to come back. It's a lot, man. It's just like, I was so confused about why. I'm like, what's wrong with me? Just cut this damn thing off already. Just give me a pirate leg, dude. I'm sick of this, man.
Did you have to go through rehab?
Yeah, I'm going through PT right now every day.
Yeah.
I go to PT Monday through Friday, man. And then I go to the gym every other day. I still work out normally, but like I'll use the leg press machine and do like calf raises, but things are getting better. It's just so slow, man. It's frustrating, but it's frustrating because like it's so, I start to get a little better. It's hard to explain because it's like so slow, the healing, that it doesn't seem like you're getting better, and then I go through like this process of like nothing changes. Then all of a sudden I get a little change, and then like nothing. It's like, I got to deal with this little section of healing where I'm at, and then there's another change, so like right now where I'm at is like, I'm getting more, a lot more movement, being able to bring my foot up towards me, and then like getting the Achilles, the Achilles tendon just, basically just shortened. And that thing is like impossible to stretch out. You have to, doing calf raises really helps that, loading up the tendon. So it's just a process, man. And thank God I work for a good company that's taking good care of me, man. Like, thank God.
That's important.
Thank God I'm a wanted mechanic. So that's a good thing.
That's good.
So being able to walk is a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even really, I'm walking, but I'm not walking like normally, obviously. But it's like I'm able to like, I'm closer to walking like normal. It's getting easier to even walk around without the cane. I'll probably ditch this cane probably within the month, but I'm able to like walk, where you step, heel down, and then you're able to like go through. I can do that now. I'm getting enough movement in my ankle joint where I can do that, because before it was just like peg legged,
Yeah.
But it's getting better, man. And I was on a knee scooter for like ever, and that thing just completely like locked my hamstring up, So when I was able to like start putting weight on my foot, I couldn't straighten out my leg. My leg was just bent. I couldn't. It took me forever to get my. It's like those little knee scooters. If I'd have known that, I'd have never used it. Never used it.
Yeah, that's a sucky thing, going through injuries. My life was plagued with injuries when I was doing the rodeo.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's got to be rough for your body. I got to turn every 10 minutes in bed, or I'm waking up in pain the next day. So
it's because you're an old geezer.
I know. Hey, I'm not as old as Rick.
And it's true. He's not as old as me.
You look older. That's not bragging. I'm just kidding, Dennis. I'm just.
Spencer, I really do like you. I don't know.
Hit the mute button.
I do like you. I like you a lot. Even more than Jerid.
Yeah.
Well, that's the truth. It's all the white.
Yeah, we had to say hi to Jerid too. Hi, Jerid. How you doing, buddy? Hope you're
Jerid gallivanting around the East Caribbean islands right now.
That looks amazing, man. I saw a picture. I guess
he's in the Caribbean.
I thought he was in like Puerto Rico.
Well, he left out of Puerto Rico, and I don't know. He told me all the islands he was going to, but I don't remember.
I thought he was doing some work thing.
No, he started. The first couple of days was a work thing, but then Friday they flew to Puerto Rico to get on their cruise. Which is
right on.
Just him and Lynn. They need a vacation, just the two of them. So good for them.
Yeah, me and my wife do too.
I'm doing the same thing in another 3 weeks, so I'll be heading to Jamaica.
Nice.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, and Jerid will be doing the show without me, so we'll see how that goes.
So, what are your 2025 goals?
I did a whole show on those a couple weeks ago. My goals. Well, that's a good segue. Education is one of my number one goals this year, and I'm actually taking a class with Mr.
Yeah, the
Dave
high school
Lish.
diploma is an important thing,
I'm taking a class with Dave Lish, and at the same time, I'm going to double up and take a class from the Morocco, since I think they're like a half hour apart.
Sure.
So going to spend a week up in Washington. So that I think will be cool. I don't know what other education stuff. I want to take at least one more class later in the year. I'm teaching a bunch of classes. So
right on.
In fact, I was hoping to get to, and in fact, I was harassing Jerid for thinking he wasn't going, but now I can't even go to Blade, Texas, because I forgot I have a class the Friday of Blade, Texas.
Well, call me when you have no class.
Right. So now I have a 3-day class right before Blade, Texas. So
right on.
Yeah. And
one word of advice when you go to take your class with Morocco: number one, don't take him on a windy road after you fed him a bunch of tequila.
Yes, I've heard this story.
Yeah. I hope he's not listening, but yeah.
And you took him up to Virginia City, and he's claiming it was the altitude.
Yeah, he says it was the road, the windy road. He said he got car sick. I go, you got Patron sick, motherfucker. Don't tell me that.
Yeah. So we'll see if we get to any drinking when we're there.
Oh yeah, he likes tequila.
And right after, in fact, I'll segue this to another sponsor read, but right after Jamaica, Mr. Coy Baker is coming here for a couple of days to visit, and we're going to do something. I don't know what. I'm sure we're going to make stuff. We're going to hang out in the shop for 2-3 days. But
what are the dates on that? I might have to show up.
No. I already got Jerid tagging along. Come on.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know what we're doing, but
I was just about to ask, what's the plan?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll make something. I'm sure he has some plan that he hasn't told me yet, but
that's awesome.
if you're not sure who Coy is, he is one of the masterminds behind Baker Forge and Tool, who makes some of the best steel on the planet. They just released Tiger Mai in Raindrop, which is a unique combination of 15 and 20 bronze, 1084, and copper with an 80 CRV2 core. This stuff looks
Cool
amazing.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
if
I've
it's
seen
not
a lot of
already,
his stuff. I've never got to meet Coy, but I think he's an innovator.
you've never met Coy?
I've never met him. No.
Really? He's
If he's listening, hi Coy, I'm Rick Hall.
I think I see Coy as like one of the first people I see at every show. Like not on purpose, but he's
Right.
just easy to spot. I don't know why.
So are you. I got to look for a Q-tip that's 6'4".
Hey, I'm 6'2". You're taller than me.
I know.
But if you're looking for some good steel, go check out Baker Forge and Tool. Use the discount code T10, and when you're ready to etch that stuff, go get yourself some Gator Piss, a Premier etchant, ready to go. Just get it going. Also, last week, we've talked about it, I think, before on the show, but they are officially about to launch their stainless Damascus series. So everyone is really excited, including myself, what they're going to do with stainless Damascus.
Yeah, me too. I saw his little video on YouTube, and I'm pretty excited about that. I might get some from him. I was going to explore doing stainless Damascus because they do have a 50-ton hydraulic press, and it's really important on that first press to get a really good smash. So I am going to revisit that, but that's another one of those bunny trail things. You know,
Yeah.
Oh, I want to make some of that. Whatever's cool, I want to make it, but I only make one and then I forget about it.
I don't know, actually, and I'm not sure I agree on the because I've talked to Josh Prince and folks. I don't know that it's the amount of pressure. I don't think you need a lot of pressure. It's just small, like you need to do small bites of everything when you do that stainless Damascus. Like where I got in trouble is getting too anxious, getting too impatient.
Yeah.
That's the problem, actually. You don't want to go too much. It's just little taps every time. And it's about like it's an hour and a half to set the weld on stainless Damascus. Like it's an all day thing just to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hung out with Gabe when he did it first, and man, like he set up a billet that was like this big, like just a massive billet, dude. And I've never seen it done before, so I figured, maybe that's normal, but I guess the guys go a lot smaller. But yeah, dude, like we got a little too aggressive there on the fullering dies, and we lost a chunk of it, But
yeah,
a good, like, I don't know, maybe a inch and a half came off, but then you still had this big, massive billet though. But yeah, that stuff doesn't move easy either.
No, setting the weld is the thing. Like, it's not like, we've all made regular Damascus where, 3 heats and it's stuck together. No.
Yeah.
It's like 10 or 15 heats and maybe it's stuck together.
Yep.
I had talked to Will Brigham pretty extensively about it, and he's the one that said, if you've got a big billet and you want to get that weld, he goes, that higher pressure, because you're not using little bites, because the little bites are actually higher pressure. So if you have a big press, you can create more pressure on a bigger surface to create that weld.
Yeah, that's why Gabe got that 120-ton press.
Yeah,
so I'm excited to see him.
He gets after it pretty hard, doesn't he?
Stainless Damascus.
Yeah.
It's still on my list to get back to. I maybe next month when I'm back from Jamaica, I might be attempting it again. I had really good success until like the third forge weld last time.
Yeah.
I got a little too, overconfident, and that's when I messed it up, unfortunately.
Have you been watching Alex Steele do his titanium Damascus on YouTube? Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
That's pretty interesting. That guy spent a lot of money on titanium. He pulled out a sheet that was the size of a Volkswagen.
We're losing you a lot, Rick, but I kind of get the gist of what you were asking. But he uses grade 2 and grade 5 titanium, and it looks exactly like the same process that I would use to do stainless Damascus.
Exactly.
Like
argon purge.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I've, Rick, you and I were talking the other day, like I have an auto that I need, a bigger bolster for, but I don't, anyway, complicated. I don't want to use something like that. I want to use titanium. That's an interesting concept to use
Yeah.
some titanium
Yeah.
Damascus.
Yeah. I want to make one. I want to make a billet of it to make my son-in-law a replacement for the Damascus ring I made him for his wedding to my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because the one that I made him, I put a coating on it, and I think I didn't read the directions properly, and it screwed all
Right.
up. So,
Huh.
yeah, I'm sorry if my internet's messing up. It's because Shorter, I'm going to throw them under the bus. Those guys never, ever show up when they say they're going to show up.
Anyone regarding service like internet service or phone or anything like that, they give you a 4-hour window and they still never show up.
Yeah, give me a 4-hour window, but don't show up in 5, dude.
You have to make an appointment. You have to get like an appointment.
Yeah, you have to make an appointment, and then they come on. Yeah. It's just stupid.
Oh, yeah, I'd be pissed if they didn't show up.
Well, I was.
That's a good segue. You talked about rings because I actually want to move into Maker Spotlight because one of my Maker Spotlight for this week actually is Trails End Knives, who actually reached out to me and gave me a bunch of what he uses to make rings. I had kind of already looked up. I guess I needed one of these expanding mandrels, but he gave me a whole bunch of tips on, oh yeah, this is what I do. This is the process. And I, when I'm using flat, because I have to use flat stock because it's Kumai. He's like, yeah, this is how I do that, and drill a hole and put it in your 3-jaw chuck and then put it on the mandrel and actually took me through all the steps. So thanks for that. So go check out Trails End. Sorry, I'm going to bring this up. Trails Edge, not End. Trails Edge Knives. He's got just over 1,000 followers, making some cool stuff. He's got some a lot of full tang chef knives, some hunters, a lot of cool stuff on his IG. So go check him out, give him some love, and give him a follow.
Yeah, right leading into that, I Am Star Forge is my Maker Spotlight. He's one of my students. He's a good young man. Just had a little baby, and we've done a lot of stuff around here. We made him a forge press and made him a forge and got him all started in that, and he's been doing really good, but he has very little followers. I'd love to see him get a few.
And that's Turtle Creek Forge, right?
I Am Star Forge.
Oh, sorry. I mean, you got the who? No, Spencer's a Turtle Creek Forge. Sorry, I just threw.
Well, now he gets double. Thanks.
Star Forge. So I Am Star Forge. No,
I Am Star Forge.
No dots. Yeah. It'll be in the show notes. So, he's got some Damascus. Cool.
I'm not going to say that that's my Damascus or anything. Actually, he's been making his own lately, and he's doing a good job.
Good. Yeah, it's got some cool stuff. And it's only got 258 followers, so let's go pump that up and, at least add.
Show him some love, people.
Yeah, I just gave him a follow.
Right on.
Sorry, and I jumped the gun on Spencer. Spencer, tell us about Turtle Creek Forge.
Turtle Creek Forge, man. I just saw this guy on IG, and I love this dude's sheaths, man. They are freaking awesome. Like, I really like the kind of frontier style mountain man kind of the sheaths he's doing.
Very tassely.
Dude, I love it. Like, I'm probably going to contact him whenever I make a blade for myself and have him make me a sheath.
Yeah, that's got to be a lot of work to cut up all the leather.
I think it's rawhide too. I think he's using rawhide maybe on some of them.
I love those old looking sheaths that have the laces off of them. Don't you love that?
I love it. It reminds me of just like the frontier style, like the mountain man kind of.
Exactly.
So you think that's like part of that's just the leather cut into strips? It's not sewn in, right? That's actually like the same material, just sliced.
I don't really know, but I know you can buy it like that, with in a strip where it's already cut like that.
Yeah. So usually what they do is they just fold the buckskin around it and then shred it. They shred it, and they do the little strips off the end after it's around and on the knife.
Yeah, I don't know how he's doing it.
Yeah.
I'm
I don't
not
know
sure.
how he does
but-
it either. I'm just saying that's usually how they do it. They'll wrap it in buckskin
Okay.
and then
Okay.
That's cool.
Oh yeah, they're awesome. I love them.
Yeah, that's
who's it tonight?
Tanner Graham at Turtle Creek Forge. So I'm going to give him a follow. And
Me too.
Yeah.
You know who does amazing sheaths? I think probably the best sheath maker in the world is Cast Knives' brother.
Oh,
I can't remember the kid's name now. What the?
I don't
Not
remember.
Claudio. It's
Yeah.
it's a Sobral brother, but he makes some unbelievable stuff.
Yeah. Anyone with the last name Sprawl seems to be really good at whatever they do.
Yeah, I don't know what they put in the water over there in Brazil, but those guys are
I
killing
know,
it.
right?
Like
Oh, man.
Julian
Crazy.
Antunes. I don't know if you've ever seen
Oh,
his
yeah.
work. Oh my gosh!
Of course, like crazy good.
In Sofredo, I think he's
Yeah,
Brazilian
Rodrigo.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Those guys are
Anyone
some.
with an O as the last letter of their first name is usually pretty good for some reason.
I know. That's why they call me Ricolo.
Yeah, that's a W at the end.
Oh, I forgot.
All right, I'm going to do one more ad read here for my favorite hammer maker, Two Basterds, Texas Smithy and Supplies. If you need a hammer, cross peen, straight peen, whatever kind of peen suits your fancy, go get your hammer at Two Basterds. Frank and Nita will definitely set you up. You can also get the Vaquero exclusively at Maritime. So I love it when our sponsors commingle. And you get a hammer at Maritime or order directly from Frank at Two Basterds. It is one of my go-to hammers for sure.
Dude, I heard we get a discount if we're a host on the show. 10%, right?
Yeah.
Go talk to Frank. He'll hook you up. Or he'll ignore you, one of the two.
Well, after that comment, I'm sure he will.
And as Jerid always says, isn't it grand to have a fat peen in your hand? So go get yourself a fat peen from Two Basterds.
Yeah.
All righty. I got a question for you guys. Is there anything, because I know the answer for me, is there anything in your shop you have a weird cost obsession with? And I'm going to give you my example. So, yeah, abrasive, but we have all this expensive stuff in the shop. For some reason, okay, I have this obsession on latex, like those nitrile gloves. I don't know why, but when I use one of those damn things, I'm like, I gotta save it. I don't want like it's $20 for the box. I will take a belt, an abrasive belt that costs $16, and I will throw it on the floor 5 times in the same day, but not those gloves. Those gloves are probably 10 cents a piece, and I must resave them and reuse them.
It puts the lotion on its skin.
Yeah.
It does this whenever it's told or it gets the hose.
Do you guys have any weird obsession, like cost obsessions in your shop like that?
Yeah, rags.
Rags. What's your go-to kind of rag? Is it the blue one? Is it the what do you use?
I buy like shop rags that are just like cut up old T-shirts. You can usually buy them like in a big box at a hardware store. Like, man, dude, I use those things like crazy, and I got an old T-shirt here from an old T-shirt I don't wear anymore. I'm cutting it up. Like I use those things like crazy, and I try to save them, and they get so nasty like this. I mean, it's covered in ferric and just it's like. But I go through them like crazy, man. And I'm like, I'm already out. I have none.
So I'll follow up on that. Is I love using those, the shop rags, but the ones I use are white. And I just literally went through my drawer and threw out about 10 to 12 T-shirts. Didn't save one of them, but I'm going to go and buy a bag of these shop rags. But I like them because they're white, and I don't know why.
I guess my obsession would be acetone. I finally got these little squirt bottles, but what I had before was one of these plunger things. Okay, so I had this little plunger thing that you push down on, and you get some of it on your rag, and you wipe your knife off. Guess how many times I got to use that sucker? once because it all evaporated out of that stupid plunger thing.
Oh,
I filled that thing up to the brim, probably held half a can of freaking acetone. And
You're like,
I
this
go
is
to use
a
it the next time,
brilliant
and I'm
idea.
pumping on that thing and pumping on it, wouldn't go. And I'm like, what the hell? Open it up, empty.
not airtight. Yeah,
No.
I actually, since I took the class with Mike, Vagnino, I grabbed that little squeezy thing that he's got. I bought like 3 of those, and that's what I
They're
use for
great.
acetone. Amazing, and it's a squeeze bottle. I love having that thing around, and I actually go through less acetone now
Right.
because I'm not, dumping it out of the big jug. But
Right.
yeah, it's funny that dumb things we go through. Well, we'll spend a ton of money on propane and abrasives, but
Right.
10 cents for latex gloves is.
So, how many times have you guys caught your garbage can on fire with acetone?
Brake clean. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least once. I've caught a buffing wheel on fire. Jerid and I were standing around, and we're like, "What?" Because I keep the buffer sitting on a shelf.
Now we know who started the California fires.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. But yeah, he and I are sitting around. We're like, "I smell fire. Do you smell fire?" And then we look down, and the buffing wheel is like flaming on.
Wow.
Because where we grind is right above that buffing wheel, and I guess someone was spraying sparks all over the buffing wheel. It was probably me. And,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, but I've done the acetone thing on a rag in the garbage and hit it with sparks a couple of times.
I had a student over, and he was wiping off Damascus pieces with acetone and throwing these rags in this can that's right in front of him. Well, right in front of him is also the vise that you tighten up the pieces of Damascus in and weld them. So he, had this huge garbage can full of acetone rags, and then he brings the welder stick over there and goes, bam, the minute a spark went in there, it caught his crotch on fire is what it did.
Well, he won't do that again.
He didn't know it for a while either. I had to grab him and said, hey, your wazoo's on fire, man. You need to back on up. You might need that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The acetone can be very flammable.
Yeah. But I do want to talk a little bit about these crazy California fires. It's just Southern California is like half of LA, I think, is on fire right now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And if, and I know there's a lot of people out there thinking, oh yeah, it's like all these rich people's homes. Like, guys, it is not just celebrity homes. There's a lot of homes, like regular people homes, that are burning down. And just the brutality of the comments that I'm seeing on Instagram and stuff about, oh yeah,
it's trollscape. It's trollscape.
It is brutal. Like, you guys don't, like, these are people's homes. I don't care who they are.
Absolutely.
Their memories, everything. It's awful. And just to, if you're not familiar, you're not from California, especially Southern California, the Santa Ana winds are a thing. It's these winds that blow from inland out to sea.
Right.
They're carrying, basically they're really, really dry winds that just suck the moisture out of everything. And then they'll pick up speed as they continue. And if you've seen pictures of like these palm trees on fire, and it looks like just hurricane wind.
Yeah, it's horrible.
That's what it is. And that's why these fires are spreading so much. Because
I don't care how much water you had. Okay. I don't care how much water you had in 100-mile-an-hour wind. When you've got houses that close, you are not going to stop it. Obviously.
It's like a blowtorch.
It's exactly like that.
It's like a blowtorch, and it's really crazy. And my heart goes out to all these people. The company I used to work for is based in Woodland Hills. It's not all that far from Burbank, and I don't think the fire's getting out quite that far, but it's pretty scary.
Yeah,
it was there's a guy I watch on YouTube sometimes where he just rides around LA on a bike, and he just films like a bunch of kind of just ratchet stuff, going around downtown LA, like Skid Row and stuff. But he just did a video 2 days ago where he was riding around just showing all the houses, and it's just like, dude, man, and it's, like you said, it's not just all these big celebrity mansions, like, really wealthy people. It's just normal people's homes, dude. Like a little 2-bedroom house is just gone.
Yeah.
Something that interested me too. It was like, a lot of these homes had like brick fireplaces, and that was the only thing
A
standing
lot of them,
was a brick fireplace. What the hell you need a fireplace for there?
Well,
Right.
you say that, but the nights are actually pretty cool. It's not like
Like,
everyone thinks, it's like 90 degrees all the time, but it's not. It's
Right.
actually kind of cool.
yeah, it was kind of sad to see though, man. It just like somebody's home, and the only thing standing was their brick fireplace.
Yeah, and
It,
it's
it,
Just like,
it really
dude.
makes you think about what is important to you. Okay. What happens when you got a armful of crap? What are you going to grab? Because that's really where you find out what's super important to you, because all that stuff you're leaving with and you're gone has got to be the stuff. I mean, what would it be for you guys?
Oh, my grinder, man, my heat
just
shrink.
the knives on my table, of course.
That milling machine's coming with me.
Yeah, you're not bringing that.
Right.
I don't know. Actually, I'm
Nothing, dude. Nothing's more important than my wife and kids,
yeah.
man. Like that's
Like,
number one. I don't care about anything
there's no
else.
thing.
I think number
I
one
am
would be
grab-
passports, money, any cash that you have.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
don't keep none of that here. I don't
That's
even have a
electronics
You
now.
passport.
I don't even care about that.
You don't care about money?
Cash. All my money's electronic now. Like,
Oh, well.
who carries? No one cares that
No,
much.
I mean,
cash.
I have like some gold and silver and stuff that I've been accumulating, that kind of stuff.
But that's
But it would be a big
money. I
trouble
mean,
at the bottom of my safe. But
Put it in a crucible. Just carry it in a crucible that
Right.
way, and it
There
just
you
melts
go.
into it.
yeah,
I mean, as far as like it's different back when people actually had albums of pictures, and like that's something you would want to take. But now everything's kind of online, so it's not like I'm going to lose pictures and stuff like that.
I just am
But
blown away. It's like, what are the scenarios where you lose your life in something like that? How close do you think it's going to get, Bill? Well, it's at the front door. You think we ought to leave? I don't know. What do you think? I'm like, how can you not? I don't know. Maybe they were trying to put their house out or something, got smoke inhalation and died. I mean, that's probably what happened. But
I think that's
just
most of people wanting to save their home. But some of these things, like I saw pictures of the like clips of some of the fires. Like it took blocks of homes in minutes. Like,
I saw it. Yeah, it was
just
horrible.
minutes. And what do you do? And
I
like
hate how they're
it's
politicizing it too. You don't need a politicizing. It's just
the
nuts.
worst is the
Oh, I know.
the
It's like nothing can just
conspiracy
be taken.
theorists.
Yeah, nothing
Oh.
can be taken with like face value today.
No.
It's
It's the
always-
government. It's the
Yeah,
it's religion. It's this.
Yeah.
It's that. It's like, come on.
it's so polluted.
Yeah.
I think the transgender started it. That's what I think.
Don't get us on the hate list here. Come on.
I know, right? I mean, it's just that's what it's like. So let's blame this person because we don't like them.
Right. Yeah, it's brutal. But you know what is really good? Pelican
Fat peen.
paste.
Oh, okay.
No, Pelican
I already
paste.
did the peen.
Pelican paste, hard wax, soft wax. That's what I put on the handle of that puzzle knife. I love the hard wax. I love to like heat up the handle a little bit, melt it on there, soaks in. It's great for steel. They got hard wax, soft wax, Pelican oil, hand salve, soap. Clean up your hands so that your wife actually, wants you to touch her. So go check out Pelican Paste. Use the discount code T10. It's good stuff.
Oh man, I use that stuff for setting the black after coffee.
I didn't hear that. Use what?
I use the wax for setting my blacks in my Damascus after I coffee etch it.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's one of my main uses.
Don't ever wipe it off. Just put that wax on there, let it sit. About an hour later, come wipe it off. It'll be set.
Yep. And I'll get all of the bills out of the way here. Our last sponsor and newest sponsor is Rock Solid Scales. I don't know if you guys have used this material yet. They're the makers of Grip Tech, which
I've heard
is
of
this.
that.
Yes, this revolutionary. It's kind of a rubber and resin composite, so it's really grippy. In fact, the recommended way to finish this out is to like sand it to like with a 120 or 220, 400 maybe, but then to sandblast it, because that'll hit all the resin and it leaves all the little beads of rubber, and it's really grippy in your hand. So it's great for any kind of knife you're going to use, like, on a boat, or, you need something that, like a fillet knife or something you're going to use in the kitchen that's going to get a lot of use while it's wet. So, and not just that, but it's great for that, for skinning game, something where you're gonna get full of blood and get really slippery. You don't want that knife to slip out of your hands. Get yourself some grip tech. And it comes in all kinds of cool colors, even glow in the dark and all kinds of stuff.
Does it kind of look like G10, right?
It kind of looks like G10, but it's got all these little kind of dots in it, depending on the color that you get. So I have some that's almost like a dark aqua blue green kind of thing, and it's got some black flecks in it. And I also have another set that's kind of like a limey green with white dots. I forget. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to use it yet on the knives that I'm making, but I definitely going to be using it. Jerid's got a knife right now he's working on that's
I definitely want to try some. I've been really kind of thinking about leaning towards the direction of like synthetic handle material.
I've used synthetic a lot. I'd be interested to see how it would work, like when you're skinning a deer or something, because that fat gets on you. I wondered if it would be, and your knives get really slippery when you're skinning stuff. I've skinned probably 200 animals in my lifetime, and I'm telling you, that's where you lose control of your knife. Skinning
especially
stuff.
Blood, because it's
blood
very
and
viscous.
The fat. The fat is really what makes it slippery.
Oh yeah, never thought of that.
Yeah, but the blood actually gets sticky after a while. It gets sticky and
it dries
and helps. But when you're skinning something and you got all that fat layer, it makes everything super duper slippery.
Nice. Well, give Grip Tech a shot, see what it's like, and go get some. And you can use the discount code T10 at Rock Solid Scales to get yourself some of their product as well.
Right on. Good for you guys getting another sponsor. That's great.
Yeah. Pretty soon we're going to have too many sponsors. We're not going to have any time for guests.
You're going to have more sponsors and listeners here pretty quick.
I don't think that's hard. I got one other piece of news you guys will find interesting. Next month, I have my U.S. citizenship interview. So you guys won't be able to get rid of me. I soon, hopefully, will be a U.S. citizen. So I don't know what the time is between the interview and like the big test you got to take and all that. But yeah.
I had something really shitty to say, but I forgot what it was about that.
How long have you lived here?
Since 2001. Oh, okay. I could have applied for citizenship a long time ago. But
how do you stay over here though when you're not a citizen?
I have a green card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It just does it. You're just like, okay, I got a green card. I can be in the U.S. as long as I want.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're a non-resident. You're resident alien. A green card is a resident alien card. You go from a visa to apply for a green card. As soon as you have your green card, basically after you've had a green card for 5 years, you can apply for citizenship. So I've renewed my green card twice already. So I could have applied for citizenship like 10 years ago.
Speaking of Canada,
the 13th president.
Yeah. Speaking of Canada, what are your thoughts on Trudeau stepping down?
Honestly, he became prime minister after I left Canada. So I only know anything about him from hearsay from others.
Don't want to get into politics. I just was wondering what your thought of it was. Did you like him as a prime minister for Canada?
But I never lived in Canada when he was prime minister.
Okay.
When his dad was prime minister, I lived in Canada. But
it seems a lot of Canadians don't like him.
Exactly. A lot of my friends can't stand him. So there'll be,
just seems like a big weenie.
Yeah, and just some of his policies have been,
How do you like living in Alaska, Spencer?
I love it.
Everybody that I talk to that I've ever asked that question to that lives in Alaska, hands down, I've never had anybody go, I hate that cold ass something. I want to get out of there. Never heard anybody say that.
I mean, You broke up there for a second.
I just saying everybody that I've ever asked has had good things to say about Alaska. Everybody.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it here. I was born and raised here. Of course, I do. Uh, enjoy getting out every once in a while and going to someplace warm. And Alaska can, just beat you down, but you get used to it. Like I said, I was born here, so I'm kind of used to it. But I live. I don't think people kind of really under. I mean, like Dennis has been to Anchorage, and it's a city just like any other city, but it's an isolated city. You can't just drive 3 hours and be in another state, and you're, but it's not like we live in igloos here and, take, dog sled to the store.
You're not living off
It's a
seal
city.
blubber.
Yeah, no, it's a city like any other city, it's kind of like a mini Seattle in a way,
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked Anchorage. I thought it was a really cool town, and you the isolation is correct because you can travel half an hour out of Anchorage and you are in the middle of nowhere. Like you're seeing
Yeah,
wildlife, you're seeing moose and deer and like
the
flocks
wildlife
of bald eagles, which you don't see
yeah,
anywhere else.
people don't real. It's like people. I don't think people really understand how Alaska's like this is the real north. This is the real wilderness. Moose literally walk. They walk into my garage. I'll be sitting here grinding a knife, dude, and then I turn around. I'm like, holy, there's a bull moose standing right there, or like a mama moose. Just I've had one literally walk right up into my garage, man. I had my back. I was grinding, and I just had like my spider sense go off. And I turned around. I was like, oh shit, I got to go to the bathroom now, clean myself up. Like
I totally can relate because I don't know if you saw my Instagram. I got about a 550-pound black bear that was at my back door, and I was going to go take. I had staged some trash there to go take to the
yeah,
can because I'm lazy.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I went out to get the trash, and I mean, here is monster bear, and I'm like, oh shit, you know, literally.
Yeah, I don't get too many bears in this area. They're usually up on hillside. They don't really come down into town much, but the moose are everywhere.
Yeah, heard there's a lot of problems with getting hit by cars and stuff.
Oh yeah, they own this town. They just do their own thing, and people just kind of you just respect them. And Brigham
Yeah.
Kendall just came up here, and as I was leaving to go pick him up, big bull moose right there in my neighborhood, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna go pick him up and then bring him back over here so he can see this moose at the post office. Like this is just normal. This is every day. You see this every day.
So do you go hunting moose? Do you hunt?
I haven't been hunting, and absolutely, but I haven't gone hunting for almost 12 years now.
Well, shit. Sounds like
Just,
you get a
just
tag.
because,
A well-timed garage door opener would get you one.
yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, that's like highly illegal, but but just road construction's always kept me from doing that because moose season's right in September, and it's like just it's hard to get time off.
Yeah,
It's pretty cutthroat, but yeah, like I said, Anchorage is just it's a city like any other city. It's not there's everything that any other city has. There's crime here. I mean, it's kind of wild here. It used to be really wild, like back in the '80s, early '90s. When the pipeline was going on, it was like the Wild West. You ever seen that movie Frozen Ground?
Yeah,
about the butcher baker.
yeah.
Yeah, that was like a lot of that was real. Alaska was like that. A lot of prostitution in the area I grew up on the
So it
west
ain't
side
all
of
bad.
Anchorage. No, but I mean, it's just like I said. It's a city with city problems. It's not like we live in igloos here. There are places here where people are very secluded. There are those like very I can't think of the word, but very like people live in a cabin, and they're very secluded. A lot of people live like that. There's a lot of little towns like that, and there's a lot of like
living off the grid people. Yeah,
like there's a lot of another thing that the states don't have that we do. That's I'm sure Canada does too, but they're native villages. That's just there's no road there. There's a lot of towns like that. There's no road. You have to fly in there. They don't have stores. I mean, these people live like subsistence living. They live off the land. You know, they fish, they hunt. That's how they eat. There's no grocery store that they can go to. You know, they get their food from the land, and it's just like they're living like their ancestors did, but they live more modern. You know, in like these stilt kind of homes, and you know they're all over. You know, in the interior, you have like Indians. You know, the like Athabascan Indians, and then Western Alaska is more like Eskimo, Yupik Eskimo. Then there's Inupiaq, kind of around Nome area, Kotzebue. But these are
Kotzebue,
like Kotzebue's like Kotzebue is a pretty big village. You know, it's considered a like I would consider that like a small town. Bethel
Mm-hmm.
too, but these places are very secluded. You can only get there by plane,
Yeah.
and when you're there, it's hard to leave because the weather's pretty bad. Because I've worked out in the bush a lot, making building runways, and you know, so I hate working out in the bush. I hate I hate it. But
It totally
you know,
reminds me of when Dennis went camping this a little while back. I was thinking about that. I'm like, he was so excited to go on this camping trip, and he comes back and he's like, I'm not going camping anymore. I'm done with that.
No, I love camping. I like driving up the RV and putting out the things and pressing the button.
that's called glamping.
Freezing your
Yes.
butt off.
But I mean, there's some other. I mean, Alaska's beautiful. There's beautiful places here to Kenai, go salmon fishing, Homer, go get halibut. It's a lot of
I
stuff to
love
do here.
that.
If you like,
Yeah.
yeah, if you like wilderness, you like hunting, you like fishing, you know, yeah, it's great. But wintertime comes and it's kind of like shut down. It's dark, it's
Absolutely.
cold.
Yeah.
Like it when it like last year we got record breaking snow. Like it doesn't snow here and then just melt away the next day. No, it snows and it stays, and then it snows some more, and then some more, and it's just we have a
Cumulative.
very long winter. Winter is like 6-7 months here. Usually starts about the end of October, and it's about the end of April. We call breakup season, and
When the
then
rivers break
about the
up
end,
and yeah.
yeah, like all the snow melts. It's just a slushy mess everywhere, dude. Like you can't buy windshield wiper fluid. It's sold out, and it's just a mushy mess everywhere. And but then about May time, it's kind of transitioning from here, it's winter, and then preparing for winter. But about May, it's like it's pavement again on the roads, and like it's greens coming out, and then our summer, which is really short though. Our summer's really short, but it's beautiful because the sun is up
Yeah,
all the
I
time.
am. I am going to go up to Alaska and check it out because I love the wilderness. I love being out, and I love hunting
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff
you'll
like
love it.
that. But I was
Yeah.
born in Montana, so I'm used to the cold, anyways.
Yeah,
Yeah, you'd love it here.
we were there. What, end of May? I think something like that.
Yeah, you were right. You were at the beginning of our summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a holiday. It was Memorial Day, I
No,
think.
it was. Well, it was when's Mother's Day? It's in May,
Oh, it
right?
was.
Yeah, it was
No, are
Mother's
you
Day.
sure?
Yeah,
Was it?
because it was Mother's Day when we had breakfast that day. So
Huh? Is that around Memorial Day? Oh, I don't know because we get
no,
3 holidays a year construction season. So
I just
Memorial Day.
I remember that Lindy on the way home, you guys got flowers, and then we were getting on our plane, and then during our stopover, you sent us pictures or video of a moose eating the flowers off of the front door
Oh yeah,
that she
yeah,
had
that's
put
right.
there.
Yeah, that's a tradition. Every Mother's Day, we go up to Bell's Nursery, and my wife gets her summer flowers. But yeah, and then the moose came over and started eating them all.
And yeah, and you can hear her
I'm
going,
like,
shoo,
I just
shoo.
bought those. Yeah,
You're shooing away a moose.
yeah. Or
Get out of here, Moose.
they walk, they walk between my house and my neighbors, and it'll just shit right there in my front walkway. God damn it.
Yeah, that's not like bird shit or something like that. The worst I get, once in a while we get a possum on the fence. That's about the most animals we get around here.
Or a crazy neighbor, the SWAT team's got to come and
Well,
take
yeah,
care of
that's true. Yeah, the occasional
Like I said, we
tweaker.
have bears around here. And who do you think's the only person in the whole family that ever finds every pile of bear shit around our house? That'd be me. I stepped in at least 4 piles of bear shit. And they're full of apples and the
Nice
trash
and
that I leave out
chunky.
for them.
them. That's why they're coming there.
That's why I since started locking it up, but because I don't want to get my wife in trouble, out there.
Yeah, your mom and
Or my mom, yeah.
500-pound bear is nothing to trifle with.
Yeah,
But
and
I'd be
I
afraid if
wanted,
my mom got after him. My mom's a pretty good shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you see that movie Frozen Ground?
I've never
That
seen
was
it.
a good. They filmed it here in Anchorage. Yeah, it's actually it's a pretty good movie. But yeah, they filmed that right here in Anchorage, and um,
That was about those
my
murders, right?
yeah, the Butcher
Yeah.
Baker. He was actually like a
That was
what's
a
the
good
term?
movie. That was a good
Yeah, he
movie.
was like a
Bakery
community guy. Like
Yeah.
everybody knew him. Like, yeah, the cops would go to his bakery. He made my dad used to actually work with him down at Anchorage Cold Storage, and he used to brag to my dad how he would like change the numbers on his plane to confuse like fishing game, because he'd go out and poach wolves and stuff. And he actually made my best friend's parents' wedding cake.
And he was what, like a serial killer or something?
Big
Oh
time
yeah,
serial killer.
he
Yeah.
would take girls out, prostitutes. He would take them out in his plane, like, hey, babe, we're gonna go fly in my plane. We're gonna go out to Kinnick. And back then, like Kinnick was like in the '80s, it wasn't as populated as it is today. That was a very secluded area, and he would take them out there, land in his plane, like, all right, get out and run, And they're like, and he would chase them down, like hunt them down, and
They'd hunt 'em.
Yeah.
kill them.
Yeah. There was
Wow.
like
Yeah.
30, right? Like
Yeah, and
30
they say that
victims.
they say there's more too that they suspect he did that he didn't admit to, or that he probably killed a lot of those girls, man. Just
Well,
sad.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
Just sad.
depressing. That's not something my wife's ever going to watch. So unlikely I'm going to get to see.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really go into depth and all that, but it is a good movie, and it's just it's a good insight into what, like, the how Anchorage just being a regular old city.
Sure.
Like, it was pretty
Yeah.
wild back in the '80s, and like where I grew up in Spenard was kind of like a separate town from like Anchorage. It was like where a lot of people kind of like Vegas back in the day. It was kind of like that. That's where you would go to like do things and whatever. But yeah, it's just a city like any other city.
Yeah, I was surprised how big Anchorage was. I was
Yeah,
not
it's another.
expecting it to be that big.
I used to work maintenance in downtown Anchorage, and during tourist season in the summertime, I would ask. I've had a few tourists would come up to me and ask me, like, they're like, "Man, this is such a clean city. Like, you guys do a really good job of keeping it clean here. We've been all over. It's just really clean here." And I always ask them, what surprised you most about Anchorage? And they're like, the size. We didn't really understand. We thought it was going to be like a tiny little small town, which it is a small town, but they're just like, yeah, the size of it, it's much bigger than we thought, and
Those two things
no.
is exactly what Kim said about Toronto, that it's really
Well,
clean
yeah.
and it was really big.
Like my whole life, growing up in Alaska, and not getting out until I was in my like 20s, 19, 20, and then being like, dang, I grew up in a small town. Like, this is a big city, like LA or Chicago, it's like, these are big cities, man. Like, there's interstates and all. And I'm like, man, I grew up in a really small town. Like, Anchorage it's a small town, but
Yeah, that
I
Robert
think we're just
Bowes
under
was that
300.
guy's name. Robert Bowes. He killed and raped 17 women, at least 17.
Wow. Well, that's depressing. Don't want to
Well,
end on a
I'm glad I could be
depressing note.
the guy that put
Butcher
the
Baker.
poo-poo on it,
All right, guys, we're already at an hour and a half. We need to wrap this thing up. Rick, anything you want to tell? How do people find you, Rick?
Mostly on Instagram. It's Rick Hall Knives, at Rick Hall Knives. And I don't have a website. I just make stuff and then I sell it.
And you also teach classes?
I do teach classes. I teach Damascus making. I teach journeyman style knives, mastersmith style knives, which I am going to be working on in 2025, which I did not get to.
One of the goals?
What's that? That's one of the
One of your goals?
Yeah. Get at least 2 of them done this year.
All right.
Yeah. It might take 7 to get there, but I'm going to get 2 of them.
All right. Spencer, how do people find you?
You can find me on IG, heavy_forge, or YouTube, heavy_forge, even Facebook, my personal name, Spencer Sandison. And nope, I don't have a website either. I'm strictly a hobbyist. And like Rick said, I make what I want and I sell it as is.
Right. And you will be part of the next YouTube Knife Maker Challenge, which we don't have a date yet, but I'm pretty sure we're going to switch to one a year. And those are going to be after Blade Show. So look for that in the summer when I know you'll be busy, but you can probably start early. We'll talk about that. Yeah, thanks for joining me, guys, on the podcast this week. It's been a great time catching up and seeing what you guys are up to.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Putting up
All
with
right,
me.
thanks. Yeah, I always have to put up with you.
Yeah, well,
all right, guys. Thanks.
Yeah.
yeah.